the Brights coming to you live from our studio. I know you're so happy that I don't see studio kitchen anymore.
I know. We've got a real studio.
Yes, it's so great. So it's a little bit late, but it's Sunday, and we had a lot going on today, as usual. So we taught the Marriage Rocks class, a money class today. It was on money management, and we actually talked about the money languages that different people have.
Money.
What's that?
A cheap imitation of Pink Floyd.
Oh, I don't know that. Like it was Captain and Tennille or something. I probably know that.
I wouldn't know that.
So we talked about that, and we actually want to do a video about the money languages because it was really interesting.
Yeah.
People seemed to really like it, and it was interesting to us to go back over it. We haven't done it in a long time. And also, then we taught the pre-marriage class today, and so then Richard had to come home and clean his hog.
My Harley Davidson.
No, he had to clean the hog that he killed yesterday because he's got to put some meat in our freezer. So he was out there doing that. So he doesn't always look this domesticated. Sometimes he doesn't have sleeves, and he's out there doing that meat thing, whatever that he does. So
it's all natural.
Yeah, it's all good. It's good. So tonight we want to talk about things that our kids should see us doing. And so there's a lot of, we were working on this list earlier about different things that our kids should see. So there's some obvious things like showering and
teeth brushing,
brushing
personal
your teeth.
care,
personal hygiene is good.
Cleaning,
reading. Like for your kids to see reading and things like that. But this is more about things that our kids should see us doing in marriage. So that's kind of where this falls under. Of course, there's a lot of other things that kids should see us doing, but these are just things that some of the things that we got right with our kids and some that we wish we had done right, some that we've been able to kind of make up for over time, but maybe it will help you guys. I wish we had known these things. So one is to be kind and respectful to each other. And that is putting away the sarcasm and the little jabs at each other and the little jokes that you do to each other that really hurt the other person's feelings, but to just be...
And, we have a way of being able to do that and make it seem so innocent and seem like, oh, we're just playing and we're just kidding. But in all actuality, your subconscious doesn't know that. Their subconscious doesn't know that. To them, they're taking it as a negative tone that's happening with their parents.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things Richard and I talk about a lot, and we still work with it, are always working on it, is to be kind in our tone to each other and how we say things to one another. Because we're both very, we like to get things done. We always tell you we're type A, like we're very to the point. And so there's sometimes that we're not kind in our words to each other, and we're not even mad at each other. That we just say it just straight up. And it doesn't bother him that much, but it really bothers me if he doesn't speak kindly to me. And so I think our kids need to see us being kind to each other and to being kind to people like cashiers and servers, and just see us saying please and thank you.
Public in general.
Yes. And like when I was growing up, my parents made us say ma'am. We had to say yes ma'am, no sir to my parents. Like we couldn't even say...
we had to say it to our elders. Whoever was older than us was, and I felt strange doing it to my older cousins, but I'm teasing. I didn't have to do that. But I did have to do it with my uncles and my aunts and grandparents. It was always yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And we just had to be polite.
Which is good. I think we need to be polite and kind to other people and also to one another. Like they need to see that.
And kids can't speak unless spoken to. Oh, no, wait, that was back in the 70s.
That's what we used to learn, and then also, one thing Pastor Joel, we go to Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, and Joel Osteen is our pastor, and one of the things he talks about, and he's talked about over the years, is treating our spouse or our family members like fine china. And because sometimes we'll treat a stranger that we don't, someone that we don't really even know, we will treat them with kinder words and treat them sweeter than we will our own family, because we kind of treat them like paper plates, and it should be the opposite. We should be treating our spouse and our family like fine china and being careful and mindful with their heart and with what their feelings are, and not just with people outside of that. It should be flip-flopped. So I always like that. That's also, I think that something that the kids should see us do is have the same face at home as we do at church. Is that when we have that church face on and then we come home and they see a different person, And we did it for years because we get it, because we were struggling with stuff and we were having to put on this fake face just to go to church, just to get through it, to get fed, to be able to
show that we were a healthy, strong, good family.
If anybody asks, we're a normal family, But I think we had to kind of go through that. But after you mature as a Christian and you've been going to church and you've been serving the Lord and you have a relationship with Christ, I think that you can't use that card anymore. It's like you need to be this. The kids need to see the same person at home as they do at church. And what happens is if you don't do that, like with our teenage son, whenever he became a teenager, he kind of got disenchanted about church because he thought we were hypocrites. Because he'd say, well, I see how y'all really are, and then how y'all go to church and y'all are like, praise the Lord, brother. God is good all the time. Like, how you like to do that thing.
No, you used to have to do that.
No, but you like to make fun of me about it.
Because we would argue all the way to church, and then when we got to church, she would go in and whatever you don't embarrass me, and then she was all like, hey, praise the Lord, sister, God is good. I'm blessed and highly favored. And she was all happy and,
And we were all sweet to everybody at church, and as soon as we got in that car, on the way home, we were arguing, fighting. The kids, we were yelling at them. Oh my gosh, it was just... And so I really feel like he got especially Dylan, he got a bad taste in his mouth about church because he just got two different messages. He was seeing two different things. He was seeing us act a certain way, and we were the church family, but then we weren't doing the same thing at home, and it really caused a problem. So they should see us the same at home as they see us at church. What we said about faking it, and then also that you don't want them calling you out about being a hypocrite. This is the worst. And then they can get away from church a little bit because of that. But I think we're rebuilding those relationships now, the mistakes that we made. And they're kind of
we just talk to him about it. We tell him, I talk to him about it all the time. I said, son, back then, we were trying to figure it out too. We were growing as individuals. We were trying to leave a life that was bad for us and had a life of destruction and chaos and living in the world and not having any accountability to anybody or anything other than ourselves. We were living a very selfish life. So as we started to grow and mature, well, it doesn't happen the first 2 weeks of church, and then you're set for the rest of your life. It's a lifelong process. So he was seeing us trying. And growing, but it was all like, oh, y'all are one way here, but when you're home, you're not, because we're trying to figure stuff out, so.
But I think different kids have different personalities because different kids have different kind of grace. Like Hannah was different with it. Tara was different. Like they got it, they saw it. But Dylan, he was way more sensitive. He's got such a sweet heart, and he really took it to heart. Like he would see it, and it was very confusing to him. So we have been able to talk to him now that he's in his 20s and just say, hey, we're sorry that we did that, and we're trying to be better. And we just try to explain not make excuses, but of why we were the way that. Why things were. So another thing is kids should see you doing what you love. We love that our kids are seeing us reinvent ourselves. Like we're empty nesters now. We're getting to do comedy. We're doing marriage conferences. We're doing our dream, getting to do totally different than anything they saw growing up. But we love that they're getting to see us living our dream and
living our life and going for it.
Yes, and going for it. So I think it encourages them to go for it, and we want our kids to be encouraged. And we can talk a big talk, and we do it all the time with our kids. We verbalize a lot of stuff, but we always know we always were told this: it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. And so they see us going for it. They know that there's no they can't. We don't ever let them off the hook about going for their dreams or doing what's in their heart, because we're like, look at us. If we're old and we can do this and go do it, then there's nothing wrong. Older. Then there's nothing wrong with them who have nothing holding them back. They don't have spout like the world is your oyster. Like you can go for it.
What does that even mean? What is the world is your oyster? What does that mean? What if you don't like oysters?
I don't like oysters.
Then why is the world?
But it's like oyster? Beautiful, because you can find a pearl in it. Like you're supposed to find the pearl. Like the world, like you should be finding exploring the world, because you can find your pearl, your oyster. Because inside of an oyster, you might find that beautiful pearl. and we always teach them too about not only to be encouraged, but also to not listen to what they say and to listen to worry about what other people think. Because if we worried about what other people thought most of the time,
we never even got started.
We would never be where we're doing what we're doing right now. And it's hard sometimes to not hear the negative talk or to look at some of the stuff that's cringeworthy that we do. And it could even have been last week, but we just keep doing it. And we know if we keep doing it, we'll get better. If we just talk about it, it will never happen. But if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other foot, we'll keep doing it.
That's
and
right.
So we do it to encourage
just
our
like
kids.
we did in our marriage. We just did not give up. We just kept on keeping on.
That's right. And so I think it's important that your kids see you doing what you love, going for your goals, seeing you set goals and have a vision. And our friend Joel Malm is on right now, and he has a great book called Vision Map, which will help you learn about how to get a vision for your life. It helped us. Jimmy Evans has one about the vision on the mountaintop, about your vision for your marriage, but it's just really good to
He
talk
also
about.
has a great book called Fully You.
Yes,
and that helps you.
And
big
another
time.
book coming out really soon, too, because
Joel
he's got it like
has
that.
it like
he
that.
has it like that. So number 4 is being affectionate with each other and to them. It's for the kids to see us being affectionate to
Send
each
them the
other.
video. Send them the video.
When
they
they
can
were-
watch.
when
Since
they
they're
lived
not
at
here, they can
home-
watch it on the video.
So now we're empty nesters officially the last few months, but whenever kids were home, they would see us, Richard's really fun. And so I was always like rigid and had to do all the rules, but he always had that
No
fun.
kissing till we get the work done.
But he had a fun spirit, and it helped me to kind of let my guard, like I had to let it down a notch, and he stepped it up a notch. But between us, I think it was a really good. It turned out
It's
to
a good
be
mix.
after a long time, but we finally got like a groove. But the kids would see us kissing in the kitchen, or we love Dean Martin music, and so we would dance to Dean Martin music and put it on in the kitchen, and then they would be like, oh, like rolling their eyes, like go get a room, it's so gross. And
But you know what? They were smiling and they were laughing.
they
and
loved it.
So I know that was a good thing to see. You know.
Yeah. They love to see that. Look, even our little dog. We have a little Chihuahua named Chica. Y'all gonna hear us talk
Oh my
about her
gosh,
all the
she's the
time.
most jealous dog.
Ever. I mean, Rich, all we have to do if we want her attention is to start kissing, or just start talking sweet to each other, or just patting each other, because she will be there in a second.
Yeah,
But the
and
same
bark
thing.
like.
But it's not because she doesn't want us to do it. She wants us to hold her while we're doing it.
Yeah.
But even our dog is a good gauge to see that it's just good for to be affectionate, and for our kids to see it, and to be affectionate to your kids and to love on them. You know, sometimes I got really caught up in being the mom and doing all the rules and making sure everything was running right, that I didn't do the affectionate part, especially with Dylan and Hannah. And I regret that. You know, I just regret that. My dad was really affectionate, and he would always come home from work and find all the kids and give everybody a kiss. And it's just important that your kids see you affectionate to each other and to them. Another one is that
Because it also sets up a healthy boundary for them. Because I always know that whatever we're going to do and they're catching it, they're going to do that as adults as well.
Yeah, that's
you
really
know?
good. Yeah, because they're going to just model what you do.
Yeah.
So another one is it's really important that your kids see you praying together. And we prayed together as a family when we first started going to church. We didn't really pray a lot. Richard would try to pray, and we didn't even know what we were doing. And then we just started praying the Lord's Prayer. And then a little over time, we started to get more comfortable with praying with each other. And then in the morning, we would always pray before the kids went to school. Even when they became teenagers and they were rolling their eyes and like, oh, this is horrible. You know what? I still think that they looked forward to it and they liked it. And we could say, what can we pray with you about today? And you could really hear your kid's heart whenever they would tell us, well, I have a test today, or yesterday somebody upset me, or, I just hope today it's less stress, or whatever it was. But then to see us praying together and to seeing us work through things by prayer, it's just so important for your parents for kids to see you praying. Like when I was growing up, my parents came in our room every night. We weren't super religious or anything, but they did pray with us every night before we went to
The
bed.
scary prayer. If
Which
you
one?
die before you sleep.
If you
pray
die
the
before
Lord.
you wake.
Yeah.
You
my
pray
gosh.
the Lord my soul to take.
Then you just
Never
want to
going
step. I'm never going to sleep. I had insomnia as a kid. I was afraid to die in my sleep.
So it's really a good thing for the kids to see you praying together. The other thing is for kids to see you dating. We talked about this last week. We did a little video of it
And
from
each
Las
other.
Vegas. Yeah, when Richard First and I got together, he thought he had the best life ever, because I said, I think the most important thing in marriage that we need to continue to do is to date. And I meant each other. not other people.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified content.
Yeah, Percy's like, best wife ever.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. This is the best marriage.
You're so cool.
We should live in like Utah or something. We fit in there great. So dating each other, we do that a lot. Like we had to make up for lost time because there was a lot of time we weren't getting along, so we didn't go on dates, or if we went on dates, we didn't speak to each other on the date, or we were mad going home, or it was just...
Guys, it takes some work to get through this stuff, you know, and it just doesn't happen magically. It just doesn't go away if you don't talk about it. It doesn't get better if you don't talk about it. These are things that we've had to hash out. We've had to talk about sometimes over and over and over and over. But you know what? We keep bringing it up. We keep talking about it. And guess what? It gets easier. And then it gets less threatening. We're not arguing. And we can actually listen to one another. And all of a sudden it becomes healthy.
And have fun on dates. Like we got past where everything was just always like, who wants to go on a date when all we're going to do is talk about our issues. You know, now it's about making memories for us. It's like we want to go and have new adventures together. We like to have that shared activity. We like to have that time for growth, to have new... this is only one life, you know. There is no dress rehearsal, you know. I tell people this all the time. I was raised in I raised my oldest daughter in Mary Kay because I was a Mary Kay sales director. So I heard all this positive stuff all the time about life is not a dress rehearsal, and you better go for your dreams and all these things. And it is so true. Like we don't get a do-over. We have to do it now while we have time, while we're still, because who knows what tomorrow brings. But we need to be dating each other, having that time that Richard and I had to find shared interests because we only had one band that we liked together. Like this last week, we went to hear the Eagles in Las Vegas just because that's that one band, the one piece of music other than Dean Martin, and that's because it's dance music.
It's kind of hard to see Dean right now.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to see him unless we go and dig him up. Or we could have seen him if we had gone to the Dean Martin show.
He's just a cheap imposter.
And so the other thing for us was shared interests. Like we had to find things that we like to do together because we didn't have a whole lot of interest. Like he likes to hunt and fish, and I'm like, oh, I'll fish on a pier a little bit, but I don't really want to go hunting. And it was hard to like, what are some things? So we took comedy classes, and we took improv classes, and we did things that were so out of the box and so out of my comfort zone for sure that we did together. But it started a whole nother career for us. I mean, just some people go and they learn how to dance. They learn
how to make sushi. We did that.
Yes, we did that. So there's a lot of things you can do on dating. Oh yeah, you gotta tell them how to do it.
When you go into a sushi chef and you go, that means he's gonna take the rice and
we'll do it.
You want
a little thing.
Sushi.
I don't remember, but
I didn't even know sushi was rice. I thought it was the fish.
The fish, I did too.
Yeah.
Cheap imitation.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's important that kids see you date because it's important that they see that this relationship, that the marriage relationship is the most important relationship. More important than your relationship with them. Like that is the number one. I mean, of course, your relationship with the Lord, but as far as people-wise, this is the person they need to see that this is, it takes priority over everything. And then when the kids were younger and they would be like, oh, is it date night again?
Man, they try to play us.
Yes. Because they didn't want us to go.
Right.
And then they got older and they couldn't wait for us to go. But
well,
did they play us?
Oh, yeah, they did. I mean, they would and whine.
Yeah.
And
why are you going? Yeah.
You know, but
we stuck to our guns and we kept going. And they got to be where, like, they're like, isn't it date night for y'all? And they now will tell us how much they appreciate the facts whenever that we had.
Because it made us better, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's important that the kids see you honoring God, that He's a priority, which means, you know, going to church regularly. For us, going to church was not an option. Well, for me, going to church was not an option, so I put that on them. I was like, the Bright family goes to church. We don't worry about whether we feel like it or not feel like it. We are getting up and we are going to go to church and we're going to serve the Lord. And we were not happy about it, but we were going to do it.
Golly, that's right.
Yeah.
And we're going to have fun doing this. Yes. We're going to go serve Jesus and have a great time, you know.
Yeah. But
we're
after
oh man.
But you know what? Again,
after a time,
same thing.
Yeah, you start getting stronger, and
Yes.
and then you look forward to it because something's happening in you that's changing, and it's drawing you closer to each other, drawing you closer to your family. You see your family actually, the dynamics changing.
Yeah. We got new friends.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
it was our life. Like church became such a great place for us to go. It became not only to get fed, but to serve there, to get to serve people, to to
I
have
think it's important for
relationship
kids
with
to see
people.
you serving and
Yes.
volunteering.
Yeah.
You know, because you in all actuality, you want them to eventually volunteer and serve. Because it's just something about serving others and helping other people in their lives that just does something to us eternally and internally. You know?
And our kids have seen it, and we see our kids now and how they have that servant heart, because we just didn't let them off the hook about it. Like, and we didn't just say y'all go serve and we're not going to. We were we told jokes about how we would
soup kitchen on Thanksgiving to go serve people food.
But at church we would serve so much, and we would even have so many badges because we were in so many. It was like overboard, but we were trying to do it to compensate, which is a whole other video, to compensate for some of the things that we were going through. But it was important for our kids to see us serve, and now I see our kids serving, and they just do it with just like they can't not serve, like they just have that in their heart. So it's really a good thing. And going to church and all that, it's not just to check it off the list. It's to really dig in, get deep in church. You know, I hear people about, you know, they get wounded at church, or they've been offended at church, they get hurt, and, you know, you got to live unoffended. You cannot, I was just telling a friend a couple of days ago that if we had every time that we got offended at church, we'd have left, we'd have been 50 different, 100 different churches by now. You're going to get offended because you're around people, and we're human, and we're going to disappoint each other, and we're going to offend each other, and we're going to hurt each other's feelings, but you got to have thick skin, and you have to know people have goodwill for the most part, and you just can't, you got to let it roll off you, and you got to roll with it, because you're serving, you're not there to serve man, you're there to serve God and to do the things. I mean, we've got to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We don't want to be in there having some kind of popularity contest or gossip contest. We got to get in there.
You can't walk around with a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, you just can't, and a lot of people do it. So it's good for our kids to see us honoring God, going to church, praising and worshiping. I love when our kids see us do that. I love to watch Richard praise and worship, because I don't know about y'all girls, but that's just kind of that thing. It just gets my jam on. Like, I love to see him, because I just know the kind of man that he's become, and I love to see him praising the Lord. Like, it just jams me.
All right,
awesome.
We're about to get off this and go
He's
praise
like,
the Lord.
Woo, woo. And also to see you reading the Word and actually spending time with God, like putting that time in, whether it's a Bible study, whether it's just your time to read, to pray, just that they know, like, I have a little certain area that's my chair that, I mean, I have it to where my drink is right there. I have this really cushy rug. Like, it's a little place that I can be.
Her water, not her margarita.
Yeah, I know.
I got my drink
coffee.
right there. Got my ashtray right here.
That was back before. But just a specific place that you have, and, you know, a lot of people call it your prayer closet. I call it my prayer closet, but it's really just a chair in my office, but it's my prayer area, and just a place where you can do that, where the kids can see you going to church, worshiping the Lord, reading the Word, serving people. It's really important that they see that. Number 8 is that your children should see you value each other. And they have done studies saying that the number one thing that you can do for your kids is to love your spouse. Like, that's the most important relationship, even more than your relationship with them, of how you love them, is for them to see you loving each other. Because that is...
build security and safety in them.
And I read this. I want to read this because it says, Department of Health and Human Services found that the quality of a child's parents' marriage had as much influence on his or her future mental and physical health and well-being as his or her own personal relationship with either parent. The most important relationship in any family is the marital one, and by making this effort to value each other, parents teach their children important lessons about intimacy, about conflict, about balancing work. They need to see these are life things that they're going to learn, that they're going to go with someone else one day.
You can just see the rate that marriages are failing and what's happening to the youth of America and the world. I mean, they're just going by their feelings, their emotions, they're living like unabandoned. They're just living however they want to live and doing whatever they want to do, and going from girlfriend to boyfriend to girlfriend to boy, and just, you know, there's no value system. There's no character anymore. It's just all falling apart, and it's because the family unit is falling apart. So we have to do what we can do. We can't change the world, but we can change the world around us.
Yeah,
and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, we've got to value each other. Like our kids need to see that. And what does that look like? That means that we edify each other with our words, that we're building each other up, that we're not tearing our house down. The Bible talks about tearing our house down with our word. Like that we are actually, even if you don't see it in your spouse, and you're thinking, but that person.
It's funny how the Bible doesn't talk about men tearing the house down. It talks about women tearing the house down with their words. You know?
And I know how things changed for us. We were in a super bad place. Y'all know, some of you know our story. We were in a really bad place for years and years. And what changed is when I started calling those things calling those things that were not as if they were. And because the people say, well, but he's not like that. He's doing this, this, and this. He doesn't deserve respect. He doesn't deserve honor. I get it. I've been there, and I can remember thinking, I ain't giving him anything, because my pride said, I'm not giving him anything till he shows me. But God showed me that I had to give my husband respect and honor even before he deserved it, because that's how he jams. Like, he needed that respect and honor, and that's when he rose up. I couldn't change him. He changed on his own, but because I was not tearing my house down and continuing to tear my house down and my husband down, is that our kids need to see us edifying each other, valuing each other, building each other up. We can talk a big talk, but we got to model stuff to them.
And I just want to give props to my amazing wife, because she wrote all of this stuff out, and this came from her heart. And
so I'm going to start writing a blog or whatever you call it. I said, I'm going to write it.
I saw the topics and I said, this is really good. I said, you did a fantastic job.
So those were 8 things. Thank you. Those are 8 things that we believe that your kids should see you doing. And then there's one more that we think your kids should not see you doing, and that is, there's a lot of things I probably shouldn't see you doing, like smoking and
what are you going to say?
I was going to say the thing that they shouldn't see you doing is fighting.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the other thing.
Well, obviously
that would have been awkward.
You better lock on your door. Yeah, right. Awkward. But I'm saying the one thing that you can is that your kids should not see you fighting. Unless you know how to fight fair, and you have healthy, mad skills about how to have conflict and to reconcile, where they can see that and they learn how to do it. We never had it like that. So our kids, we did not fight in front of those kids. That is one thing I will tell you, is that we never fought in front of those kids. We, even if we kind of got into a little disagreement, our kids would freak out. Like they was like, stop fighting, and we're like, we're not even fighting, we're just having a disagreement. But they just could not even handle a little bit. So we didn't really learn a lot of the conflict skills till our kids got older. So they didn't really get to see us resolve conflict. We didn't see it growing up. My parents, all I know is that they'd be mad not speaking to each other, and then I guess they worked something out, and then next thing I know, they were all talking again. But I don't think they actually ever got to anything deep. They just kind of swept it under the rug and kept on going. And then Richard's family,
yelled and screamed and slammed doors, and then we made up, and we were all best friends again.
But I'm not sure that your kids need to know all the details. I mean, I have friends that sometimes tell their kids way more information than I think kids need to know about your marriage relationship. If you are talking smack about your spouse to your kids or to somebody else, like on the phone, and your kids are in ear range, I mean, if I even have someone that does that to me now, I will tell them I'll call me back later. Like, I know how devastating it is. We've seen families fall apart with one spouse that's talking about the other spouse. Yeah, you can't be putting them down. So what else? And also that don't be, because what happens is, if you're doing that and you're fighting, or you're trying to get the kids to side with you, or to pick, it's hard for them to try to pick loyalty, and especially if you have a blended family and they don't even live in the same house and they're trying to pick sides, and it's just hard. That's a lot to put on a kid. So that's the one thing we think kids really shouldn't see you doing, which is fighting. And again, unless you know how to really resolve conflict and you know how to fight fair. So those are some things that we believe, that we wish, some we did really well, some that we wish we had done, some that hope that will help you. But those are 8 things that we think your kids should see you doing in marriage.
And the one thing that they shouldn't see.
We already know.
But a few things. Hey, so thank you guys for tuning in so late on a Sunday. We'll promise we'll make it earlier next time.
Yeah. Well, most people watch it later, and they watch it after the fact anyway. So, but we also a couple things we have coming up. This Thursday, this is October the 13th, right? October 13th. Yes, 2019. So this Thursday we have Dinner and a Marriage. It's our last one for 2019. I'll put it in the comments down below. There's a link, and it's if you're in Houston, it's $50 for you and your spouse. You don't have to be married. You can still come to it, to our dinner date night, and it covers everything. It covers the dinner, the gratuity, everything. It's $50 for a date night. And if you've never been, it's your first one, it's only $25. And the food is phenomenal.
Very good food.
So I'll put the information there. Week after next, we will be in Tampa, Florida at the Crossing Church. We're going to be doing a comedy date night on Friday night. And then Saturday, we're doing 3 marriage sessions for the marriage conference. So we are super excited. That's like a really big conference, and it's going to be great. We have one coming up in Sealy, Texas. We'll put that information. And then November the 8th in Houston, Texas, we have Lakewood Church, our comedy night with Ted Cunningham, and Richard and I will be doing a set. So it's going to be really fun. And we hope you guys will come to one or all of them.
That's right.
So we love you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you
praying for
next
you,
Sunday.
and we'll see you next Sunday.
Peace out.